Hey ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. As always, it is Nick here, back with your daily crypto news and analysis, and today we're going to be talking about Casper Network, aka Casper the Friendly Ghost. So sit back, relax, and before we fully jump on into this video, I do just want to ask you guys to please leave a like on this video. It does help the channel grow immensely, and of course I always do greatly appreciate it. And if you do find any of the information in this video valuable, useful, or interesting in any sort of way, definitely hit that subscribe button and turn notifications on to never miss a future update. So overall, in my last few videos, I told you guys that tomorrow is the big day. Tomorrow is pretty much the monthly candle close. That's what I'm watching for. It's what I'm awaiting for as well. I have been keeping a close eye out on Casper, not too much though. Like, a lot of my altcoin holdings, I haven't really kind of been paying too much attention to. It's been more so focused on Bitcoin, just because of the dominance levels and also where we are currently in terms of the market structure. We really kind of want to await Bitcoin breaking out to like 41K to 44K. That's pretty much what I'm awaiting right now. You know, we are hitting some resistance at around like the 9 cent level on Casper, which is not too big of a surprise to me, honestly. We have to make up some grounds with Casper, but this has given us a great, pretty much point to really kind of start accumulating. Around like 7 to 8.5 cents is like a perfect point to me. Of course, I do think that we could see a little bit of some downward pressure tomorrow if Bitcoin does have one last major swoop of those lows. I told you guys about that in my last two videos as well, which is something to really kind of acknowledge, especially if you do want to get into some things at a cheaper buy point. Of course, I know a lot of individuals want to buy the lowest points. It's almost impossible to, though. This is crypto, so at the end of the day, when we're talking about, trying to chase the falling knife, if you will, a lot of people buy a little high. People, buy before it actually hits the bottom. I mean, it pretty much is what it is. That's why you kind of wait until you do see some validation in the market before you do officially buy. But until Bitcoin does break above like 41 to 44K, I do think that downside is not limited at all. I think that we could still see better buy points for a lot of these altcoin holdings, and Casper definitely is one of them, especially if you guys are, still waiting to buy in. Maybe you wanted to buy 7 cents, but you couldn't at the point that it was. Maybe exchanges were down, who knows. But I do think that this was a nice little buy point for a lot of individuals that did want to buy, and it did last for a little bit of time, so a lot of you should have been able to buy 7 cents if you did. But of course, if you did, guys, I do applaud you. But overall, when we are talking about Casper, I do think that we have an incredible year ahead of us, and let's talk about why. So first off, with Web3, we know that Web 3.0 is being, sort of worked on day by day by day. A lot of individuals are talking about it. Higher up CEOs, especially of like social media platforms, like even Jack Dorsey is talking about Web 3 all the time. There is a little bit of some speculation behind it from like individuals like Elon Musk and stuff, but who really cares? At the end of the day, we know what Web 3 truly is. It's decentralization of course, the future web. Of course, there's going to be a little bit of some centralization if you think about it. But I honestly think that at Web 3.0, it's pretty much just the adoption of digital, pretty much, I would say digital use cases like NFTs, metaverse, and stuff like that. Like, it's going to be such a different platform that we have now. Like, I look forward to Web3 just because of the promise behind it. I hope that it does come to be something, far bigger than anybody could really expect. Not even just from the standpoint on like, hey, we're invested in Web 3.0 products, so it would be great for us to make a ton of money. It's more so the idea of like taking power away from these centralized entities and giving back to the people, because that's essentially what we want to see. That's exactly why I'm invested into crypto, because I see the potential behind a lot of these, assets, specifically Web 3.0. But of course, we also talk about NFTs. NFTs are growing and growing and growing in demand. And the reason why I bring up NFTs is because we are still seeing NFT projects being built on Casper, specifically Apocalypse, right? I've talked to you guys about Apocalypse multiple times. That are actually having a giveaway if you guys do want to go enter it. But I think that this is a great NFT project. I think that, once we do still, see a little bit more adoption of NFTs on Casper, I think that that's where a really big growing demand area for Casper will be as well. We've seen NFTs taking over a lot of the assets that I've invested in. For an example, HBAR. NFTs are growing with HBAR. We're seeing XRP getting in, or Ripple, I should say, getting in on the, NFT scene with the XRP ledger. So I love NFT adoption. I love NFT use cases. I love NFT projects, but I don't think people really, really see the vision behind NFTs. Like there's so much more than just JPEGs. But of course, this project does look pretty interesting. Looks fairly high quality as well. As a designer myself, I think that these are fairly good in terms of illustrations. A lot of details in these. I think that this is awesome. I honestly think that this is a great project. I think that this could be something very cool. And I actually look forward to seeing more about this project. Hopefully, it gets some attention. I think that it has a ton of potential behind it. And like I said, pay attention to things like this being built on Casper. And I've talked to you guys about Apocalypse before as well. Now we look at the charts. This is coming from Kevin Cage here, so shout out to Kevin Cage for this. But he is more so kind of comparing and contrasting, Hedera to Casper and to even Curve. Now we do see these, points that these assets are pretty much at, and we do see the growth ahead that we could potentially see. For an example, here's HBAR's growth. And this looks like an incredible overall upward trend for Hedera. We know Hedera has made some incredible gains. And if Casper does that same amount of gains, we could be seeing, upwards of like, $1 to like $4 plus. I've always said $4 to $7 is a nice point for Casper, in my opinion. I think that is a fairly solid point. I always showed you guys the chart for this as well. Like right now, RSI looks pretty strong here. We have been kind of just trading sideways, volume diminishing a little bit, but more so I want to talk to you guys about the $4 to $7 range. So let's actually come up here and let's go to that $4 to $7 range. So I have these, marked on the chart, so you can pretty much see the $4 range, $4 and like almost 40 cents being this nice little bit of a settlement point, or I shouldn't say settlement point, but like sort of a strong point that we kind of grasped on two individual daily candles. I know it's not like the strongest point to really kind of look at, but I'm just saying like in general that wouldn't be too bad of a position to really kind of look at. And I do believe it was like on the 4 hour where I did see like the $7 range being possible. I know that I was looking at it for a while, but just in general, when we're talking about $4 to $7 being the prices that I'm pretty much waiting, you guys don't have to wait for those prices with me. The only reason why I'm waiting there is because I do see the long-term vision behind Casper. Like I don't care how long I have to hold Casper for to hit, $7 plus. Of course, do I think that I'm going to be selling everything before the bear market? Most likely. I got to see how I'm feeling, but in terms of my exit strategy, it's already laid out. I have a Casper exit strategy. I still believe in my, Casper exit strategy because I see the potential behind Casper for what they are actually building, and I'm not the only one. Like, in terms of some of these charts, like this chart specifically, when comparing it and contrasting to other projects, of course, it's not, as easy as like, all right, well, let's see what all these other projects did in terms of their chart and let's kind of just align it perfectly. Not specifically. I'm not going to take anything away from Kevin here either. I'm just saying in general when we're talking about some price appreciation targets for Casper, I think that the upside potential here is greatly incredible. I think that the ROI potential on Casper is going to be great to see, and I'm definitely going to be watching it closely throughout the entire year, as I do think that 2022 is going to be a huge year for Casper. And of course, to really kind of see the potential behind this, we are seeing, FinTech Switzerland, top 50 crypto and blockchain companies in Switzerland 2022. We do see Casper being mentioned here as a platform and protocol in terms of blockchain technology. I think that Casper definitely deserves to be a little bit more of a, project that looks at in terms of a legitimate and really a potential way. Like the potential behind Casper truly is limitless. And like comparing and contrasting it to like other assets, for an example, like here's a nice comparison chart for staking, so shout out to them. But we're seeing Casper compared to Hedera, Algorand, Ethereum, Tezos, Cosmos, and even Polkadot. We do see fully permissionless and decentralized with single node type. Yes. Developer friendly through open and multiple programming languages. Yes, fully. Turing complete smart contracts. Yes. Mathematically secure and live, including DDoS protection. Yes. Node limits, none. Weighted key management, yes. Continuous integration and deployment, yes. Meta transactions and flexible payment code, yes. So honestly, when we're talking about Casper, it truly is an incredible overall project. And in terms of the information here laid out, I do kind of agree. Like it is a little bit vague. It doesn't really have too much meaning behind it. Even in terms of like Hedera, I think that a lot of these are kind of wrong overall, but just overall understanding the potential behind Casper, like a lot of this is true. Like I would say like pretty much almost all of this is true. I just think that when it comes to other things, like for an example, like Hedera's DDoS, protection, like it has ABFT, so it is pretty much like the highest grade. But overall, when we are talking more so about Casper and the potential behind Casper as a blockchain, asset network, if you will, we pretty much look at this, right? We have a full breakdown from Medha Parlikar. I feel like I'm always butchering her name, and I do apologize if I am, but the official public protocol is the Casper network. The association doesn't discourage forks. Casper presently finalizes 1,500 transactions and 60 contract executions every 32 seconds. Work is underway to reduce latency and time to finalization. Once a transaction is executed, it is final. Please note the definition of a Casper transaction is a unit of end-user work. Solana and other blockchains twist this definition. By their standards, Casper processes 10,000 transactions in addition to the 1,500 plus 60 every 32 seconds. Casper will be releasing an update that makes transaction fees easy for enterprises to budget. This will, happen in the next major release, 1.5.x. Yes, Casper Labs has several major relationships. The most prominent is IPWE, but through that, we have cultivated a relationship with IBM, GBS. Other partnerships are under NDA at the moment. Once we discuss publicly, we will. Other advantages are, of course, these major updates within the overall network, and of course these are some huge advantages, especially if you're comparing it to, like, for an example, like Ethereum and stuff. I just want you all to understand that this truly is the enterprise and developer choice in terms of a network. And I'm not saying that like, I'm not taking anything away from like Hedera or anything like that. Like, trust me, I still believe in what Hedera is really kind of building on. All of these major networks are kind of going after completely different markets and use cases specifically. But I just want you to all understand that there's a ton of money to be made in this market if you diversify. A lot of, the information that does get, shared is a little bit, weird in terms of, some information. Like, a lot of this, yeah, it's a little bit vague. Like, I would completely agree. Like, I think that this is a little bit, it's a little bit shaky, if you will. But overall, when we're talking about the technology behind Casper, I don't really compare it to anything like Hedera or anything. I more so just compare it to Ethereum, because if we're comparing it to Ethereum, we know that Casper is essentially Ethereum 3.0. But what makes it that? Well, we know that it's scalable. We know that it is much more efficient. We know what Casper is really kind of focused on is fixing what's wrong with Ethereum. Because right now, anybody who is using a smart contract on Ethereum knows the problems within the network. Everybody knows the problem with that technology as well. Even, Buterin himself realizes the problem with Ethereum. It's not scalable. It's not meeting the demands for mass adoption. Casper already is. And if we're talking about Casper in terms of the transactions and stuff like that, I love the fact that they're kind of putting Solana and other blockchains on blast here, because I think Solana's overall, for an example, transactions per second is a little bit, it's a weird subject. Like, a lot of these companies, a lot of these major assets in the space are kind of falsifying information, which I do not like. I don't agree with at all. Like, just be transparent. That's all I ask for a lot of these projects, and that's why I like Casper so much, is because, it is a very transparent company. And I think that it is great to see, the growth within Casper. I'm not too much focused on comparing and contrasting, Casper to other assets like this. Like, I don't like this specifically. A lot of individuals are saying, Casper, I hold all of these, some small positions and some, large. It is true. Like, I'm not biased at all in terms of my holdings. Like, I could compare and contrast HBAR to other networks all day long and still come out and say, well, hey, if it is better in this way for, compared to Hedera, then hey, that's great to see. I'm not going to be like, no, Hedera is the best, that's the only one, and you pretty much have to hold it. That's not me. Okay, because I see the potential behind all of these major networks. Casper specifically has a ton of potential behind it. That's why I hold it. That's why I think that upside potential is incredible in terms of ROI standards. So, Overall, just watch for 2022 being a huge year for Casper, for a lot of these networks as well, and even for crypto. Like right now, we are awaiting Bitcoin's next major leg. We're waiting for us to really kind of break out of this sideways momentum. It sucks to say that we have to wait for that and be patient, but that is the game that we're playing. Everybody will say, hey, you got extremely lucky when you get rich off of crypto, or maybe you make a ton of money off of crypto. Maybe you don't get to the point where you're rich. Maybe this is like your first bull run. Maybe you got in a little bit late. It doesn't matter. There's still a ton of money to be made, and everyone will say that you got so lucky. Yeah, that's never going to happen again. But the truth of the matter is the fact that there's only 200 million users of crypto right now globally. We are so early in this game. We know these networks are providing a massive amount of potential and efficiencies for enterprise grade solutions and even major financial companies as well. So at the end of the day, I think that the growth of crypto this year is going to take off at a massive rate, especially as regulations are being talked about and discussed greatly. We see the idea of one, bringing regulations in to truly adopt this technology and utilize its major potential. So with all of that in mind, I hope that you guys enjoyed this. If you guys did, definitely leave a like, subscribe, turn notifications on if you guys want more free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord down in the description below. As always, I hope that you all have a beautiful day or a beautiful night wherever you guys are in this beautiful world. This has been Nick. Peace out, guys.